Hey, what's up guys? This is the Microtech standard issue, the MSI. Man, can we appreciate for a second that Microtech is not doing what everybody else is doing and copying styles, but doing their own thing and giving us a 4-inch sheepshead blade with a hard use thick blade stock of 4 millimeters and a comfortable handle and a good locking system and an improved locking system. Can we just appreciate that for a second? How nice is that? So the crossbar style lock is currently all over the place, as you might have noticed. Big weaknesses on the crossbar style lock: omega springs, and the construction is way too complicated. Taking it apart is a nightmare sometimes, especially if you want to fully disassemble these. You have to take them apart from both sides. However, on the ram lock, you get a big old coil spring that you can even see from the outside, so you can blow it out with air if you need to clean it. And then you pop the T15 and T8 body screws off, super long lasting screws by the way, and you have access to the internals of the knife. How good is that? Microtech has to be appreciated for what they give us. And the coolest thing, in my opinion, what they usually do is they give you folding knives that are so versatile and can be pressed into so many different situations. Now, one thing has to be said: these are not the best cutting tools. However, if you need to cut, pry, or stab your way out of a situation, these are the right knives. And on the SOCOM Elite, you can even, survive a car wreck with the glass breaker. That's awesome. This is obviously a big competition to something like an 80-20 because it has a similar ambidextrous but strong locking system. So here you can see the size comparison. The MSI is just a lot cheaper, especially in that polymer setup here. So I chose the polymer scales because I thought to myself, well, first of all, they're a lot cheaper, that's good. And second of all, they have more give and a nicer, warmer feeling to them than the G10 or the aluminum or titanium. So I thought that would be a great idea for a hard use, comfortable knife like this. The polymer has just a little bit of flex to it, but not like where you can press the scales together, even though there are no liners just around the locking system. Awesome. You save a lot of weight by doing so and don't necessarily lose strength. 134 grams, 4.7 ounces, really nice. Nice and good texture here. Like I said, these screws are amazing. Really nice, good pocket clip. This is a deep carry pocket clip, so again, very versatile knife. You can bring a hard use big 4-inch folder without it being too noticeable. So I like that quite a bit. Microtech is really good at doing clips, good tension, good holding in the pocket. Big old lanyard hole back here. Yeah, super versatile knife. I absolutely love the futuristic looks of these. It looks so mechanical with all the screws. Now, this is basically the opposite of traditional, right? This is not clean and elegant. This is mechanical, complicated, futuristic, but it runs on a very simple locking system with a simple blade style that works in most cases. Now, the locking system, they had some issues. Anything that was made before July of 2024 could have a lock failure if spine whacked. However, everything that was made after that, even if you spine whack them really hard, and I did so on many occasions in many different intensities, they don't fail anymore. Microtech resolved that issue pretty quickly, which also we have to give them credit for it. Obviously, it's not great for the reputation of that locking system, but I think it works now and it's an improvement. Now you can still shake the blade out of the handle. That thing is still the same than with any other crossbar style lock. There's no detent, but you have to really try that. It doesn't fall out of the handle by its own. You really have to force it to do so. So that's one thing. The lockup is super solid, up and down, side to side, no blade play whatsoever. This knife is hard use and very fidgety and fun with the bearings. Most Microtech manual folders run on bearings. That's just how it is. I would like washers, but they work, and in my opinion they are not, they don't take away from the reliability, so that's good. Now let's talk about the sheep's foot style blade. 4 millimeters on the spine, 0.4 millimeters behind the edge. Great chop, 1/10 of the blade stock thickness. Now that being said, because it's a thicker blade style, obviously you would also like to use it a little bit harder, but the sheep's foot style blade, in my opinion, with a thicker blade stock, and you can see that on other knives as well, they don't work as well in that setting, because for prying motions you also have to have a tip that you can dig into with, and that just works a lot better on clip points and draw points. So in my opinion, the thick sheep's foot blade is not ideal. It doesn't work as well. I would much rather see a standard blade shape here. I love sheep's foot blade styles quite a bit, but in this case, because of the thick spine, you cannot really use the knife for super fine slicing tasks that a sheep's foot blade normally would excel at, and also you cannot use it super hard because you don't have the tip set up here for that. So that's kind of a, I guess, negative of it. Also in a tactical sense, I would much rather prefer the SOCOM Elite, because the sheep's foot is not aggressive enough for those slashing tasks. So it's not a self-defense knife per se. It can be pressed into that role. It's not gonna feel super comfortable there. It also lacks the heftiness because of the weight. So that's one thing that has to be said. This is the apocalyptic finish. They make this in a bunch of different finishes and colors, many options there. I like that finish. It's like a stone wash, acid wash, and then you get the flats being satin from the machine. So very nice finishes from Microtech as usual. Let's talk about the blade steel M390 MK. What's the difference to M390? I didn't found anything. Microtech has supposed to claim that it has a higher carbon content. I'm not sure, I couldn't verify that. You know what? In terms of using and sharpening it, I think it sharpens a little bit easier than my SOCOM Elite here. It gets a hair popping sharp edge very quickly. It's decently tough. I didn't have any chips whatsoever while using it for quite a while now actually. Yeah, I found it to be easy to sharpen and easy to maintain. It does not hold an edge forever. It's a Microtech. You don't buy a Microtech for the steel performance. It's like saying you buy a Hinderer for the steel. You just don't. Buy a Spyderco if you like steel performance. In this case, you buy it for the knife. And you get a simple steel that's easy to maintain and decently tough and decently good in edge retention, but not fantastic and good in stainlessness. So it's kind of a balanced thing that they have going on here. You will have to maintain that edge and keep it razor sharp, obviously with a veggie geometry. It's always that case, and that's true for most thicker blade styles. I will say the 20CB as being an equivalent on Demco knives performs a lot nicer in terms of performance, edge retention, sharpness. Yeah, this one is better, I think, better heat treated. But that being said, it does perform okay. When cutting, there is a couple of things you need to know with it. If the edge is not super sharp, these knives struggle quite a bit, and my SOCOM Elite has the same thing with cutting zip ties, for instance. They just slip off because the cutting edge lacks the bite of doing so. Bad day for thick geometry. In a thinner blade style with a thinner geometry, you can cut the same things much easier. But that being said, when cutting tomatoes, it sliced really well. Cutting cardboard, this knife performs really well. I think cardboard it excels at. That's probably the best, nicest things that I cut with it. It did very, very well in that regards. It cut wood really nicely. The softer, more give to the handle helps it quite a bit when doing the harder use and the harder cutting. So it cut wood really well also. It did not cut onions that well. Onions felt like stepping on the brakes while driving. Not great. I think the geometry here was just not set up for it. There's too much thickness up here, so you get stuck constantly. So that being said, what do you get here? You get a super high quality knife with a cool, fidgety, futuristic locking system. It's not even that futuristic. So great on the locking system, great on the comfort, great on the blade performance, although could be better without the sheep's foot and could be nicer with a better steel. But that being said, I was very happy with this knife. I think it's a good knife. I like it quite a bit. If I would go back in time, I would either buy the mini version, which was not available when I bought this one, because the mini is gonna give you the same performance, just being a little bit shorter, probably a bit lighter, also has the thumb studs. I don't think it will cut better, quite honestly. It's gonna have the same geometry setup. And if I buy the large one again, I probably go fully serrated, not partially, but fully serrated cutting edge to help me with those cuts like zip ties, especially there where the plain edge did fail. I think the serrations would have excelled. So that's one thing that I personally would do. Obviously I get the appeal of a plain edge sheep's foot, but this sheep's foot is not gonna work like you think it's gonna work. It's not like a thin slicey sheep's foot. It's a thick hard use sheep's foot, and it's also not that great for prying, like I said, because, you know, the tip. That being said, fantastic knife. I am very much looking forward to checking out more ram locks from Microtech. I always liked Microtech. I think they do some great stuff that nobody else does, and they give you some uniqueness, and this knife is totally underrated and very good.